Welcome to the Christopher Peter Review Podcast, an economic perspective on salient current events.
Welcome to the CRC Perspective, part of the Christopher Peter Review. The topic for today is the new approach that will be taken with providing aid to Africa. A remarkable shift from the status quo providing aid funds and support to African nations that perpetually struggle with poverty and some of the worst quality of life in the world. For decades, this model has done little to elevate the African people, only to subsidize their poverty. The change in the approach will focus on increasing trade with these nations rather than simply offering aid packages. Trade in place of aid is the new approach by the Trump administration. This change also comes after deep dives into how our federal government truly operates shed light on the corruption, fraud, and abuse that exists in the aid network, leading to the closing of U.S. aid. The shift in dogma could be a major game changer in the long term. But you can expect that there will be many on the left who are not able to comprehend the long-term benefit. So we are going to discuss how this will be a much better approach to elevating the people in Africa who truly need an economic boost.
When the information came out about what was taking place at USAID and the eventual closing of the agency, I was not completely surprised, but also concerned about the services that it provided. The corruption, fraud, waste, and abuse was not acceptable, and we cannot allow entities that are supposed to do good in the world become slush funds that circumvent taxpayer dollars to political agendas. The good does not outweigh the corruption. The reality that was not made immediately apparent is that the responsibility for aid delivery is now with an agency within the State Department. So it did not completely end. There is still going to be aid delivered. But the transition will probably have some lags. And it does make all the sense in the world to rethink the approach as well. We just assume that entities designed to do good actually do what we think they do. Rather, it seems like they become a black hole of taxpayer dollars and never have a real impact on the problem they are intended to solve. Not really surprising that people who are constantly available for photo ops with these non-governmental organizations are the reported beneficiaries of the accusations. To some level, it is a good idea to make those experiencing poverty more comfortable and ensure their basic needs are met. But the real long-term need is to elevate these nations out of poverty and to connect them to the global economy, which is what President Donald Trump's plan intends to do. As I stated in the blog version of this discussion, I was recently in Africa where there are many people who have done the right thing and went to school, pursued quality degrees, even leaving to go to London. But their return was not met with economic opportunity and gainful employment. Many find employment outside of their field of study. Providing food, water, and minimal care maintains the status quo, but it is not the best approach. There needs to be something more, similar to the reason why welfare in America is a failure. Rather than subsidizing poverty, you need to defeat it through economic expansion, and trading with these nations will lead to a better path forward. We saw this with the rise of China, where trade with the West elevated them into an economic powerhouse. While comparing a nation to an entire continent may not seem comparable, there is a reasonable sameness in the amount of cheap labor that can be employed to create opportunity that is currently non-existent. Exchanging production or resources for aid is not a bad plan, which will predictably create economic incentive to increase employment in the areas that will generate the greatest exchange for needed aid. Right now, we have provided aid and allowed nations like China and Russia to access vital resources, while we footed the bill. This will allow us to access these critical resources and provide vital aid at the same time. And economic production will also increase as well, which is what will lead to a better future. Economic activity and exchanges are what is needed to elevate the region. Over time, those exchanges increase value on both sides. Africa's trading partners will get better quality production and cost efficiency. Africa will be able to increase their take on the transactions and become more profitable over time. Rather than the regressive approach of placing a growing burden on the American taxpayers, expanding the parties taking part in global trade will provide a boost rather than an anchor on one party for the benefit of the other. A big thank you to all of you in the audience. Your viewership is appreciated and valued. Please follow the Christopher Peter Review on social media and continue to visit www.crcreview.com for new episodes. Thank you once again. Until next time.